All right, guys. Thank you so much again for joining me and taking your time off to talk to me and talk to KryptoMagazine community back in Czech Republic. So, if you could just introduce yourself, your company, and what do you do here in Vietnam?
Maybe let me start. So, Dominik, one of the co-founders of BitcoinVN, which is like the oldest Bitcoin exchange here in Vietnam, operating uninterrupted since early 2014, which means we are probably around the world one of the oldest 20-30 companies still around from that time. So yeah, survived 12 decades. Not 12 decades, 12 years, but long time.
Yes.
Fabian Rodriguez. I run the the BTM operations in Vietnam, and soon to be global operations. And I also facilitate the Bitcoin meetups and the Bitcoin community here in Vietnam, specifically in Saigon.
Nice. Okay, so if you could tell me or describe what are the typical users of Bitcoin in Vietnam? Is it males? Is it females? Is it young people, old people? Can you draw me a picture of a typical Bitcoin user in Vietnam?
Comparatively to Europe, it's actually on a comparative level, it's more females than you see like in Europe.
All right.
Because I mean, I'm coming from Frankfurt and so on. I mean, you know how the gender balance is.
Yeah.
It's like probably 9-10 or 95-5.
You can see it like if you go to a conference, it's mostly just men there.
Yes. While here in Vietnam, you see it on the streets. I mean, the women also run business. They are constantly running a calculator in their head. I mean, business is also part of like the culture here for everybody in the family. Which also means they're of course also interested like investments, keeping the money safe, and sometimes it's safer with the females than with the males who like to gamble more. So yes, there's quite a bit more general interest also from the females compared to what you see in Europe. Without forcing it, it's just part of the culture here.
Yeah.
But in terms of Bitcoiners in general, there aren't that many Vietnamese Bitcoiners. They exist, but it's more on the Western foreigners that are using Bitcoin
And I would say that like the Bitcoiners that do exist here, they don't tend to go out because they don't see the upside of it. They keep quiet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it makes sense.
But if I may elaborate a little bit on the a lot of the cryptocurrency users here, there's a lot of FX trading and a lot of stock trading, and that overlaps a lot with crypto.
Yeah.
So a lot of crypto users that you see, like Vietnam is like high adoption in crypto. It's not the most accurate picture because a lot of them are just trading on the platform.
I actually have a funny story about this. Like, probably like 4 days ago, I ordered a Grab, and the taxi driver just the whole way he was just trading on OKX, just trading some shitcoins, not even watching the road, just like
He's got more important things.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, if you look just at the headline numbers, like 30% or something crazy, it's probably true if you have like a very broad way to define like crypto user. I mean, if everybody who ever has some exposure to it, yes. If we talk about really solid Bitcoiners, Europe has a stronger base. I mean, Europe just has more depth there. While I'm not sure how it is in the Czech Republic, but in Germany, I mean, even investing into stocks is seen as risky. So the normal person over there stays away from it.
Yeah.
Here, people are in business and in investing, very risk-seeking.
Yes, very risky. The verb, when you talk to normal people about Bitcoin, they assume crypto, but the verb they use is play. So
Enjoy
not,
Bitcoin.
do you invest or do you do anything with Bitcoin?
Do you play?
Crypto?
Right.
Do you play Bitcoin? Or I don't play Bitcoin. So
That's
it
very
is
interesting.
a different mentality out here.
Do you know if like the people invest in like the Vietnamese people invest in stocks or at all? Or is it
Less
just like,
than I would say the US, more than what you see in Europe.
Yeah.
But it's primarily real estate, gold,
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
stocks. If they have money, they just want to mess around with. But everyone here knows, right? It's yes, stocks is very it's information hedge, right? And everyone in Vietnam knows that it's the government and someone knows someone there.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, people are not looking like in the US as their retirement portfolio or something in stocks. They also see it more like your Grab driver, see it like a quick way to gamble. That's more.
one thing I observed, the Vietnamese people love to gamble.
Yes.
Okay, so your company has been operating since 2014. What do you consider the biggest shift over the past 12 years in Vietnam regarding crypto and Bitcoin?
I mean, we're right now in the middle of a big shift, because now for the first time some regulations are incoming, and they are moving pretty fast recently. So generally the government has changed. I mean, from the outside it looks like all the same, but like internally it has changed. In the past 2 years you see on a lot of fronts a lot of developments to drive the country forward. I mean, some Bitcoin users might not always like what comes with it, but from their perspective, of course, you can see why they do it. And coming from Europe, coming from a country which is like not making the smartest strategic decisions, I feel that like Vietnam is much more looking to really remain as independent as possible. They announced just last month that they start building their own chip manufacturing here. They built a new airport here outside Saigonu just within the last 4 years, huge airport in 4 years. While like in my home country, they are not able to fix some small train station roof the last 4 years. I mean, it's just very, very different speed.
Yeah. All right. So how popular is Lightning Network here? Obviously, cash is king, but I've seen that the merchants here, they have like these little QR codes, like that you can scan with some bank app and.
Essentially, you can use it everywhere without the merchant knowing.
Okay, so there is a way.
There's ways. I mean, there's various apps, including our own, which allow you to essentially pay everywhere with Lightning.
Okay, it's pretty nice.
So you don't need to run around and try to convince merchants about how cool Bitcoin is, because, I mean, yeah, we have done all of these things like before, and it's like, if you're out there, a new Bitcoiner, like, don't do this. This is like a waste of time trying to convince merchants.
I mean, they obviously have all these QR codes already, so maybe this is the way how to approach it.
Yes.
And there's been a few companies here, and we're close with some, that have tried to push Lightning business payments, and I don't think they've seen the success.
Yes, essentially what you need to like really long-term orange pill the business owners that they want it. And that's not something you get done in like some quick restaurant visit or whatever and try to shill your Bitcoin on them. It just doesn't make you look good, and it's going to stop working anyway within short order.
Yeah, can imagine. Okay, so would you say that we already talked about it a little bit?
If I may, the Lightning though, BitcoinVN Lightning node, not necessarily domestic, but...
It's probably the largest in Southeast Asia if you do not count Singapore, Hong Kong. I mean, probably there the Chinese have deployed some larger ones, but I think globally within the top 50 easily. I think might be even top 30.
Okay, nice.
We have one other startup, I think you might have met them already, Neutron Pay. So Neutron, they are also like probably one of the most advanced Lightning startups in all of East Asia, essentially. So they have been on it for the last 5-6 years.
Yeah. And in your opinion, do you think Lightning is the future?
What is the future?
Lightning.
I'm pretty bullish on it. And I feel it's still very underestimated exactly because you don't see a lot of activity if you don't interact with it. You see like always on Twitter these people, oh, like total failure, whatever. That's not what you see if you actually interact with it. We see constantly rising transaction flows. Numbers are going up, but you don't see it from the outside, because from the outside it looks like there's not many more channels, there's not more Bitcoin locked up. You do not need Bitcoin locked up like you have it on all these like crypto, web, whatever, tokenized, wrapped. You don't need this. So Lightning itself, still a lot of work to do. We also see this. There's a lot of things which do not work as they're supposed to, but we have come a long way. And just looking at the trend lines, yes, very bullish. Especially if you can pay instantly, privately, which there's not so many options out there.
Yeah. All right, so we talked about this a little bit, but do you think Vietnam is more of a crypto market or a Bitcoin market? Do you have like a percentage, like how many crypto users in Vietnam are using Bitcoin only?
I would say even if we say 1% is proper Bitcoiners, that would be optimistic.
Wow.
It's completely crowded out, but we are building our orange niche here in the community.
But that means that our signal here is very high.
Yes.
If you're a Bitcoiner and you put in some semblance of work to find us, you will find Bitcoiners here that care about it and that use it and that try to integrate it in their lives. So there's not a lot of us, but you can find us.
We have since last year also a small community up in Hanoi. Might not be as developed as the one here in Saigonu, obviously, because this one has been running now for 12 years. But yeah, so slowly, steadily, but like it's few of us.
Yeah.
All right. So you operate one of the largest ATMs network in Southeast Asia. And my question is, are the cash transaction in these kind of ATMs, are they on a rise, or is it like more people are just buying on exchanges?
I think that for our ATMs have a very particular use case with people here, right? It's people that have a hard time banking, right? Having a hard time trying to live here. A lot of short to midterm tourists are here, and they utilize our machines because they have trouble with banks, right? Bitcoin is here because we have trouble with banks. We have issues with banks. So I would say that it is, we have a steady use case of users, but the people that need us, they need us and they find us.
Yes, it's also like a convenience tool. Just if you need some quick $200 cash or the other way around, they're there.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so there is a hot news. Vietnam government last week announced like some kind of crypto framework for exchanges. How big of a deal is it for Vietnam and for your company?
I would say it's generally pretty big. We also have to, of course, to make our adjustments. So what you have seen is probably like this licensing scheme, $400 million. This is like for trading platforms, essentially like Binance or whatever, like these type of platforms. Okay. It's not yet entirely clear how any other applications are going to fall under it, because in parallel what they're also pushing is here the International Financial Center in Ho Chi Minh City and Da Nang, which has actually pretty progressive policies, progressive in a good sense of the word. Various tax incentives, making it easier for foreign experts to also come into the country if they can provide. So we talked to them for a few times and they have generally the right ideas where they want to get with it. So while you see like this licensing scheme seems very tough, $400 million, that's difficult. But what you see here from the IFC, that's been positive so far. We will need to see how it ultimately like in the practice looks like. That's why I'm very busy these days.
All right, so your company also sell hardware wallets. My question...
Trezor.
Yeah, there's a Trezor up there. So yeah, I want to ask, which hardware wallet is currently the best selling in Vietnam? Is it
still Ledger?
Yeah.
So Ledger is outperforming everybody else.
They're the iPhone marketing of the crypto space.
They have even, I think, one of their designers actually worked for Apple before.
Right, the stacks, I think.
Yes. So the more hardcore Bitcoin users, so we also have like the CoinKite Cold Card, we have the Blockstream Jade, smaller fraction of the market. I would say right now it's about like 10% of like the people who buy it. But yeah, I mean, even if people are into Bitcoin, a lot of them also use stable coins or whatever, and then like if they just buy one wallet, buy a Ledger, they buy a Trezor.
Yeah.
But 10% is not that bad comparatively, so we see some demand.
Do you have some hard numbers on that? Like how many Trezors have you sold over last, or maybe last year?
I can give you the percentage number for last year. I think Trezor was maybe at like 20%. We have like the news report just last week went on the website. Yeah, Ledger is like 2/3. I mean, they are dominating.
Yeah, that's pretty different from Czechia, where Trezor is obviously the big king.
Home crowd.
Even with all the leaks, the third-party leaks.
Yeah. Okay, so the last question is, where do you see Bitcoin in 10 years for Vietnam and maybe globally as well?
Good question, because I'm thinking nowadays, and that's just one opinion in the community, that we might have seen to some degree a bit like the peak in community activity, because we see a lot of like the OGs kind of checking out. So I would say over the last 5 years, probably half of the people who were like for the first decade around, one way or another, somehow kind of checked out, moved on. while we do not get as many new people joining anymore. So that's something where we need to think a bit like in our Bitcoiner bubble, that like the outside world has kind of moved on. I mean, we see it also with the ATMs. There's like probably 10 times as many stablecoin users out there now. And we tell them right now they are Bitcoin only. If you tell them, oh, we have these machines, but you have to use Bitcoin, they're like, I don't know how to use Bitcoin, which is something a lot of Bitcoiners don't seem to have caught up yet, that like there's so many more people out there who use stablecoins rather than Bitcoin and never bothered about Bitcoin. Is it good or bad? I mean, like with stablecoins, at least you're just one click away from getting into Bitcoin. But then again, we are now 15 years into it, no more than 15 years Bitcoin. So how many new people are really just now getting around it? So I feel like you have already harvested most of like the quality people you can get. Then of course you also have to look young people now. I mean, like when Bitcoin came out a decade ago, of course you had like all the talented 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds. Now young people, because Bitcoin has matured so much, the wealth effect is not really that much there anymore. It's not that completely wild playground where you could do everything, because now it is very heavily regulated. And I mean, if you hear like all these requirements which you need nowadays,
it's maturing.
Yes.
It's a maturing.
So
it's funny to say it's a maturing.
I get it why talented like young 20-year-olds now go to some AI stuff or whatever, because that's just more exciting right now.
AI and prediction markets, right, are the new fad.
Yeah, right.
And I think the shitcoin fad is gone. I'm sorry,
Yes.
the altcoin fad is gone.
I think that's gone for good, yes.
I think it's gone for good, right? But what stays is going to be it's going to be institutionalized. It is becoming institutionalized. So, in
Nation states. I mean, we saw last week this report about like North Korea settling a lot of trade in like stable coins. How long will this keep going? I mean, the US has like a twofold interest. On one side, of course, they want everybody to keep using the dollar, because ultimately they paid in for like the debt of the US government. So even if it's like these rogue states, Iran, North Korea, whatever. But on the other hand, if at some point they start sanctioning like stable coins more, and there is of course like pressure, more freezing, whatever, that's the best way to drive Bitcoin adoption, because then they have to look for alternatives, because they still will have to settle their trade. And if like their USDT regularly get frozen, they have to look for something which can't get that easily frozen.
And I think to that too, right, globally, things are starting to focus more into commodities.
Yeah.
Right? Now countries are really trying to carve out their oil reserves. They're settling alternate payments, right? China with gold and opening the gold window to settle oil, right? So I think with this comes Bitcoin will be a part of that, I believe. We believe, some people believe, and that it's just going to be another diversified investment for nation states to utilize, because they do know kind of how Bitcoin works at the top, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be more adoption in that regard, but in a more fractionalized world.
Okay, speaking about gold, we've seen that over the past probably 2 years, the gold surged like 150%. Do you think the Bitcoin will follow soon? Why are people, because Bitcoin should be the digital gold, right?
I mean, right now you have like the constant bid basically from the central banks. I mean, like China and so on. I mean, they make a lot of money from exporting to the world, and they need to store their money somewhere. And of course, they're not blind what's happening. Like where Europe is trying to like get on like the frozen Russian assets. I mean, they're not stupid. They know once they run out of this, who they would come for next. So like if you are sitting in Beijing, you're also like, that's not going to last much longer. So they just keep stockpiling gold. Bitcoin ultimately will likely also play a role there, but for like gold, they have already the infrastructure in place, and the market is also just much bigger. Plus you need to get, I mean, like storing gold bar, yes, it's cumbersome, but for a sovereign it might be easy, as we just seen a few days ago, like with the US government, like $100 million of Bitcoin just run off because some guy let his laptop open.
And also they are, right, with they're connecting gold to digital assets, right? And so you're kind of fractionalizing gold even more and making gold more widely available, like they are USDT or stable coins, right? So that's going to be interesting to see once precious metals are on blockchain, how that will be traded. We all know it's still paper, but it's a different kind of paper.
Yes, honestly, to assess this, I mean, like these tokenized gold, even if we as like Bitcoin purists might not want to hear it, it is probably the best way to like own gold nowadays, because like physical, okay, you have like all the trouble to get rid of it. You pay like a huge you cannot travel with it.
You cannot sell it.
You can. How do you verify it? Like all this cumbersome stuff. And like before, okay, you have some gold in some vault in Switzerland or Singapore, wherever. Then you have to sell it with the same broker. Have to wire the money to some bank account under your name. Takes forever. While tokenized gold, if it's from a reputable issuer, is in this regard probably, possibly longer lasting than these fiat currencies. I mean, on a relative scale, I would say within the next 5 years, we see drastically more adoption of like gold tokens versus like stable coins.
All right. So probably the last question. What is your opinion on Michael Saylor and strategy? Obviously, they now gather more than 700,000 Bitcoins. They keep buying more and more every week, but the price still doesn't move. So do you think it's a threat for Bitcoin?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's also why the price doesn't move or even goes down. Because like if we look historically, when Bitcoin made like these step functions up, it was usually when like one of these theoretical threat models was removed, like this Bitcoin Cash hard fork, where like before people were like, oh, what happens if like there's a fork happening? Okay, you had all these theories, how it would play out, but you needed to see how it play out in practice, that people gain confidence that, okay, this is really not an issue. And 700,000 Bitcoin is a lot. It's hanging over the market. It is something which is not resolved yet. If some company goes bust with like 50,000 Bitcoin, whatever, nobody really cares. The market can digest this in a week. 700,000 that would hang over the market probably like for a few months. And nobody knows how this business model ultimately is going to play out. I mean, the bet is okay. Bitcoin goes up 20% forever. What if it's not doing it for the next few years, while like all these interest payments come due? And as we know, markets, they generally tend to test like these maximum limits. Oh, there's somebody who's trying some funny stuff. Okay, let's test it. So that is a risk which is hanging over the market, which, yeah, I mean, if people know at some point there might be some liquidation incoming. Not to go into all the details, I know, like whatever, all these share classes and whatever, but ultimately, like, yeah, if you have like a ton of Bitcoins on the book and the company itself is like just hemorrhaging money, at some point it is going to become a problem. And yeah, the setup has been pretty aggressive since November 2024 with strategy, and I understand why every time he buys more Bitcoin, that risk is growing, which is why this hangs like a cloud over the market.
All right, thank you so much, guys, for taking your time off to talk with me, and I hope hope you all the best for the community in Vietnam. What you do is amazing, to be honest, and hope I'll see you again soon.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.